Hello, everyone. Welcome to the SaaS Session podcast. I'm Kritika, your host for today's conversation. I hope you all are doing great and practicing social distancing, taking good care of yourself and your loved ones. Today, I have Meenakshi Ganesh here with me. She's the Director of Customer Success in Clevertap. We are going to talk about how customer success is doing right now in these troubled times and how they are navigating their way through a very difficult and unique environment. So, welcome, Meenakshi. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Kritika. It's a pleasure being here. We are indeed living in very strange times. I have more alcohol on my hands than inside me at any given time, which has never happened before, for a fact. And if you've seen my posts on LinkedIn, you would know that my 6-year-old son is teaching me more than an MBA ever would. So that's a plus. That's like a few 100,000 that I've saved already. So thank you for having me. And I think I just want to kind of start off with giving a brief analogy of what customer success is about, because customer success is as much a passion as it is a profession for me. But I find it very hard to explain exactly what that means. And I once tried describing what I do to my son. So I said, imagine that you have this fruit tree that you're trying to grow, right? So you will first need to know what kind of plant it is, how much water it needs, what kind of fertilizer to use, right? Then as it starts growing, you may need to change the amount of water. You may need to try a new fertilizer, right? You may need to replant it so that its roots grow stronger. You may need to cut some branches. You may need to prune some leaves, right? So that it grows to the right shape and size. And when it starts to grow fruit, quote unquote upsell, right? You must know exactly when to pick it, right? If you pick the fruit too early, and then it may not be as sweet as you would want it to be. And if you leave it too late, it may have already fallen off the tree by then, right? And also, one of the most important things is if the tree starts to wither or if you start seeing it rot, you must be able to catch the signs early, spray it with plant tonic, take care of it, make it flower again. So that's basically what mommy does, but with people who pay my company. And for the past year, my son's class teacher has actually been thinking I'm a gardener, because that's essentially what my son told her at the end of it, right? But I think this analogy is the closest that I've been able to get to explaining really what we do as customer success managers.
That is actually very beautiful how you have explained it to everyone. I'm sure if all the customer success manager and folks would be able to closely relate to what you said. So just for the benefit of our listeners, will you please tell us a little bit about your company as well and what you do there as a customer success leader?
Sure. So Clevertap is, I can confidently say, it's the world's only retention focused platform. So Clevertap is the only company which is completely focused on providing solutions end to end for all sorts of mobile and web first companies to retain their consumers, right? So this includes everything from being able to provide customer 360 views, to be able to analyze what they are doing, when they are doing, and what they are doing on the app, right, or the website, to be able to engage them in real time with extremely targeted communication, extremely relevant and customized, and also provide the growth and retention managers in the business a very clear picture of how customer metrics are affecting their business, and to be able to take immediate decisions using our platform. So that's essentially what Clevertap does. We are, of course, spread globally, and I head the customer success function for APAC, which, of course, entails all of Southeast Asia, Australia, New Zealand, and Korea and Japan as well.
Excellent. Great. All right. So today we are going to talk about, since both of us belongs to customer success, we'll focus this discussion around this domain. In this podcast, we talk to different leaders about different how SaaS companies are doing. But today we'll focus more on customer success as a domain. So in this unprecedented time, I wanted to understand from you how you guys are reimagining the purview of customer success, and how do you see customer success during this uncertain time? in general as well as in Clevertap as an organization?
Sure, Kritika. So, honestly, I miss the days when you actually had to work out to flatten the curve. These days, you have to work in, stay at home to flatten the curve. So, you have to adapt with what you have,
True,
with the times
true.
that are going on. But the fundamental nature itself of customer success pretty much stays the same, right? What has changed is the approach. It's become more flexible and agile. We have to go beyond the regular CS duties of adoption, growth, and retention to support our customers by almost proactively solutioning for swift changes in their operational model, right? And we also need to be extremely empathetic and mindful of our customers' businesses growing or pivoting or degrowing in these uncertain times, and provide the best support that we can, right? Their priorities will change, and they will change overnight, right? And our job as CS managers is to be able to sense these changes, to be able to adapt to these changes, and to be able to provide the right kind of consultation and support that our customers would need at this time.
True. I mean, I have been in this industry for more than 5 years now, and customer success is all about outcomes, and we are always empathetic. We understand customers, and to some extent, we are agile also because no two customers are same, and almost every customer success manager, they deal with different customers at the same time. So agility is one of the most required traits that you need as a customer success manager. I wanted to understand from you if you have seen any kind of behavioral change in your customers, how they are, behaving right now, how you are seeing what kind of, if you have seen any need change in them, what what are they asking from you guys? Any new use cases which are coming up uh, due to this time?
Sure. So there's actually a meme going around which says, which of the following led to the digital transformation of your business? Was it your CEO, your CTO, or COVID? And every business is actually scrambling right now to become digital first and mobile first. They're
Right.
investing in apps and websites. And the focus has actually moved away to a great extent from acquiring new users with paid investment to actually retaining existing customers and pushing them to continue their association online now, right?
Right.
This has worked pretty well for us because now more than ever, a retention platform like Clevertap is among the very few tech partners that businesses are willing to invest and stay invested in, right? Of course, we have industries like travel and hospitality, entertainment, lifestyle, which depended very heavily on physical footfalls, right? They've seen a big decline in their businesses, while other businesses like OTTs and telemedicine and e-commerce and social platforms particularly have seen an unprecedented boom in the active users that they have. This is of course reflected also in our customers, right? So customers who were in the process of getting onboarded when COVID struck have actually changed the pace of their integration efforts depending on their business, right? So we have seen a slowdown or a pause where the customer has redirected their resources to make product changes to their own apps, right?
Mm-hmm.
While other customers who invested in us as a retention solution, especially during this phase, have allocated dedicated resources to the level where they're going live in half the time that it would usually take for a similar project. So we are seeing both ends of the spectrum coming our way. For our existing customers, right, again, they're either ramping up or locking down their marketing and retention spends based on the state of their business and their immediate priorities. Also, in these uncertain times, the flux in people moving in and out of organizations amidst the COVID-led restructuring, right? It's also contributed massively to the challenge of maintaining business continuity. So what this means for us in customer success is that every day we are welcoming new people who need to be trained on the platform, right? While we're mourning the loss of, erstwhile power users whose positions no longer exist in our customer organization. So these are some changes that we are seeing very actively come up from within our customers, organizations, and businesses.
Right. Right. Very well explained, Meenakshi. One more thing, what I am observing within my customer base is they have a lot of time right now because no one is kind of traveling. Everyone is working from home. So are you seeing increase in usage? And as you said that a lot of industries are not doing so well because of this uh, COVID, like tourism, like hospitality. So what changes you are seeing at your end, and what are you doing to tackle the scenario of where people are actually not ready to use anymore and canceling the subscription?
Right. So this is actually a great question, Kritika. At this point, actually, every function is putting its best foot forward. We, as a customer success function, are focused on ensuring that every single customer that we have gets the best value from their usage of our platform for their retention efforts in particular in these difficult times, right? So what we have done is we've compiled a marketing playbook focused on COVID specific user engagement and outreach ideas that we've shared with
Mm-hmm.
our customers. Appreciated it. They've even given us feedback, which we've incorporated into the playbook, additional topics more relevant, more current. Like we have the Ramadan season coming up in Southeast Asia, which is big for countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, and Singapore, which have a huge Muslim population, and for whom the holy month of Ramadan is typical. It would have traditionally been one of the biggest seasons for shopping in the year, and now
Mm-hmm.
all companies have to actually pivot completely to figure out how they are able to cope with this particular period that is coming up, right? We
Right.
are also putting together a lot of training webinars and comprehensive reference material, like videos and documentation, which will help users quickly learn and scale on their own time as per their own convenience and bandwidth, because we no longer have that luxury where we can provide dedicated in-person trainings like we used to, right? So we've quickly
Right.
adapted to providing a similar experience for them online, while still keeping our support channel open for providing them more personal support wherever they might need. One of the things that we're also doing is we're actually also helping our customer leadership and other industry leaders with opportunities to connect and network with each other through organizing roundtables and panels where they can share the challenges that they are facing and how they plan to overcome them. So we do have a series of very exclusive executive level roundtables that we've set up, where we've managed to get a lot of our customer champions to participate, simply because we know that at this time they may find a lot of value in being able to talk to their peers at leadership
Mm-hmm.
positions, who may be able to guide them or just talk through, right? Sometimes ideas just come from discussions. So all in all, the customer success function for any organization at this point has actually gone beyond just the traditional paradigms of customer success itself, to providing service that is pretty much above and beyond what the entitlements are or what has been purchased by the customer.
Right. Right. One thing you rightly said that we are going above and beyond our call of duties, and we are trying to give the best possible experience to our customers right now. But as a CSM, I wonder. No one knows that what the new normal is going to be after a few months, because right now everyone is struggling. Everyone is just trying to find out what's going to happen and what is happening. They're just trying to absorb that. But with what we are doing right now, do you think we will be able to continue that when the new normal hit us?
I think, honestly, we'll find that a lot of things which we thought, right, were processes which could not have been subverted in quote unquote normal times, will change in the new normal, right? Because
Right.
we're already adapting a lot of the traditional processes to kind of, be more flexible about how we are addressing the customer's needs. It's the same at the customer end as well, right? The entire way in which project management frameworks traditionally used to work have all gone for a toss, right, at this point in time,
Right.
because whatever used to work earlier, we no longer have those luxuries, right? Like having dedicated resources or having enough time, or having a certain plan in mind about this is what I want to do 3 months from now. Customers are talking, what am I going to do 3 days from now or 3 hours from
Correct.
now? It's no
Correct.
longer about a long term planning with the vision that we as businesses used to have earlier. So the new normal will be pretty exciting, because I think we will discover that a lot of things which we thought were essential are actually not, and we will actually
Correct.
end up being a lot more. We'll end up making things a lot more simpler, I feel. I think we have identified, or are in the process of identifying, pretty much, I would say, gateways which we thought were essential, but I think now we are viewing them just as blockers in progress. So we might just get rid of them altogether and realize that they're not needed at all.
Yeah, absolutely. No, absolutely. There's actually another meme which is going on right now. It's about economy, that when we started buying things that we actually need, economy is going down. So I think the same thing is going to happen there in our domain as well, where we will realize that what are the things which were not important and which didn't mean, or which didn't create value, and we'll just focus on the things which actually mean more to our customers.
Absolutely.
So I am actually here at WhatSites. We are getting a lot of new use cases. We are seeing our customers using our product in a lot of creative ways. So is that the same scenario with Clevertap? Are you seeing a lot of use cases emerging, and your end users are also reimagining and reinventing the ways how they were using Clevertap before and how they want to use it now?
Absolutely. COVID has actually completely disrupted the way that businesses have been communicating with their consumers all this while, right? So if I had to rephrase JFK's quote, ask not what your consumer can do for you, ask what you can do for your consumer, right? So it's actually no
Right.
longer cool to sell features. So businesses are getting really creative with ways to showcase their value instead. So we have, customers like Red Doors, who's a hotel business in Southeast Asia. They're opening up their rooms to the COVID frontline heroes, right? Healthcare and sanitation workers, where they can actually come and stay at their properties free of charge, because these people can't go back home. They have to be in quarantine. Then we have, Dunzo, the leading grocery delivery app in India, right? They put out a
Right.
campaign which was inspired by Van Gogh's art to actually drive attention away from COVID-related negativity. And now more than ever, we are seeing business leaders emerging and addressing their consumers personally by sending out communication about the brand's position in COVID and how it will affect the end consumer. So you must have seen a lot of these CXO letters that are coming from most big brands. And what we've observed is that the CXO letters, typically emails that have honest assessments which are laced with their own personal thoughts, right? They inspire a higher and more positive brand recall than somewhat more carefully worded or corporate-led communication, right? A great
Right.
example of this would be, Tony Fernandez's email last week to AirAsia customers that he sent out, where he's very candidly called out the impact to a business and how things are going to work better for them, and what their contingency plans are, and long-term vision and so on, which I think was a wonderful way to address their users. Empathy-based messaging is getting some of the highest engagement rates. So we have Gojek and Comfort Delgro. They are two of Singapore's largest transportation businesses and our customers. They're encouraging their customers to actually show drivers their love by giving them good ratings on the app and posting positive comments on the brand's FB and Insta pages. So the way they're doing this is actually very smart. They're through obviously, with good intentions, through this empathy-based messaging that they are sending out to the consumers, they're also redirecting the consumers' attention to some of the lesser known and lesser used features within the app itself. So it's also encouraging the customers to actually go and explore the app a little better. And what we are seeing from a Clevertap point of view is just the emergence of a lot of new channels of communication which our customers hadn't explored before, right? So how do they use deep links more inventively? How do they use notifications where there are like 1,000 notifications already coming to every user's inbox? How do they make theirs stand out, right? How do you use in-app notifications, the pop-ups that come up when you're using the app? How do you customize it, personalize it? So there's a lot of creativity and thought that is going into mapping the right channel for the right customer as well. Other than this, so one really cool campaign which I would like to kind of highlight, because I think this was one where the business incorporated a social cause into their own business model. So Fave is one of Southeast Asia's largest lifestyle and mobile payment platforms, and it started a campaign called #SaveMyFave, okay, where they're actually asking their consumers to purchase prepaid cards from their favorite small business vendors. So we are talking, mom and pop shops, your neighborhood spas and salons, hawker center food vendors. And these are cards that you can use at a later time, right? Post COVID or whenever. So they have a long validity where you can use these cards. And what Fave is doing is they're passing the value of the card right away to the vendor to help them tide over this phase when they're actually not seeing any footfalls or revenue coming directly to them. So that's a really cool way of pivoting the business. Again, this needed a lot of changes. We had to be a lot more agile as well in supporting them across various channels and then various ways of communicating. One actually pretty, we are also seeing some out of the box use cases in terms of just how our customers are communicating with their end consumers, right? But in general, brands are actually using social media and high engagement platforms. And these days Zoom is the highest engagement platform that we have at this point in time. They're actually using them for branding efforts while being obviously a little sensitive enough with their messaging. So you may have seen Time magazine, they actually released a Zoom meeting background which had time and it had stay at home as the message. So people can potentially use that as Zoom backgrounds. KFC Malaysia actually inspired Malaysians to get creative with their KFC meals while staying at home by asking them to share their own recipes and photos of the dishes that they made using the KFC bucket chicken, using a hashtag on Instagram. So brands are trying their best to engage users on other platforms as well. Another interesting business development that we are seeing is a lot of partnerships are actually starting to bloom, which we hadn't seen before and now seem so intuitive, right? So we have Udemy in India is a huge edutech app. It has actually interestingly partnered with Shuttle, which is a ride hailing app, to reach Shuttle's user base. So you actually see Udemy ads whenever you see Shuttle notifications on when the car has arrived, or when you have notifications coming in from the Shuttle app. Swiggy is expanding its network to cover a variety of services. They are no longer sticking to just food delivery. They are actually looking at grocery and couriers and point-to-point deliveries. So all of these changes, right, they're all accompanied by a change in not just how they are communicating with their customers, but also how they are using their tech partners like Clevertap in being able to execute this in a cohesive manner. Right. So there's very quick decisions, overnight decisions. There's a lot of integrations that happen, very, very quickly, where we have to jump in and support and make sure that they're ready to go in a matter of hours, or ready to go overnight for a big campaign that they want to launch the next day, because they cannot afford to wait and take, their own sweet time in enabling those changes. So we've had to be very, very, agile and kind of a spur of the moment in that way. We're also seeing for especially for businesses that depend a lot on physical footfalls, we see content marketing becoming extremely popular. So for example, AirAsia, it's publishing its popular in-flight magazine, Travel 360, online for anytime access, right? And parallelly, they're also promoting other apps that may prove useful, like an app that lets users pay for fuel online, right? Book My Show, because the physical events that people used to be able to book are no longer available. So Book My Show is actually compiling very, very relevant and actually I would say tongue-in-cheek and really funny stay-at-home entertainment options. Like recently I got an email which said, 11 entertaining movies that you can play in the background while you work. So, they say adversity builds character. We are certainly seeing a lot of character in how brands are engaging with their consumers.
That was so fascinating. It's so interesting to hear all these examples and so many use cases that you mentioned. I also saw these emails and push notification and app, but never thought that so much reimagination must have been through in this. And you rightly pointed that now people are spending more time on their mobile, on their computer right now. So every company is trying to just be different, be more creative, and they're trying to use their existing tech partners in a different way, in a more creative way that no one actually imagined. So
Absolutely.
now let's move on to the most important point that I wanted to discuss with you. Now more than ever, we are focusing on retention. We are focusing how we can keep our customers who are already with us, so that we don't lose any value, because it's very difficult to gain new customer right now. No one wants to put more investment, new investment in their books. So how you guys are managing churn? Are you again reinventing the wheel? Are you thinking of giving discounts? Because here in my team, we have came across a lot of new things that we can do to retain our customers. It's our highest, utmost priority right now, more than engagement, more than anything else. So what you guys are doing, any new creative way which our listeners can use as well in their company?
So, I mean, this is definitely a tough time for businesses everywhere. And unfortunately, some of our customers have suffered as well, right, in this downturn. In the last 2 months, honestly, we have actually not had any case of churn where the customer opted out because they wanted to go with an alternate platform, right? The very few cases of churn where we are, where that we have actually seen during this period, primarily from customers who are facing a very severe revenue impact at this point in time and have had to actually slash their operational costs, right? So for such customers, we are actually bringing in some retainer relief measures that will allow them to continue using us in these difficult times. As CSMs, we celebrate and take pride in our customers' successes, and we equally share the pain and disappointment of their hard times, right? So apart from all the standard ways in which you do churn management and retention management, we are actually reaching out to our customers personally. We are checking in on the state of their business. We are actually reaching out and seeing how we can help them. And like I mentioned before, we are not really restricting our services based on retainer values or entitlements. We are extending our help wherever needed. So regardless of whether it is a customer who has purchased services or not, or whether they are small or medium or large, depending on how much they pay us, we are actually being extremely consistent, empathetic, and proactive in providing them with any support that they need. So whether it is having to deploy some additional resources from our end in ensuring that they are able to turn around a change in the integration quickly, or whether we actually spend time retraining their team in person again, because for whatever reasons, it may be language barriers, or it may just be the fact that they don't have time. They have not been able to leverage our online resources, right? We are also actually spending a lot of time as customer success managers sitting with our customers, understanding exactly what campaigns that they want to run, what kind of communications they want to set up. We are actually hand holding them a lot more now, even more than before, because we know that right now it's I think just stupid to kind of stick and be rigid and say, hey, you know what, you didn't pay for it. It's really not the time. This is the time for empathy. This is the time to go all out, and this is not really just even about retention. It's just the fact that they are our customers, and at the end of the day, we have a very clear responsibility to ensure that they succeed with us. So that's really the change that from my team's end, in terms of customer success, we've just become a lot more empathetic and we are going, like I said, my entire team, in fact, kudos to all of them. They are burning the candle at both ends pretty much. We are not looking at whether it's a weekend or a weekday. Wherever a customer asks us for help, and because it's the same with our customers, right? They are also actually scrambling and pulling all stops out to reach out and pivot and really do everything necessary to make their businesses successful. So we are supporting them the best that we can. And I would like to take this opportunity to actually give a big shout out to my team. They've been extremely good about supporting their customers, and that's, I think, really the best that we as customer success managers can do, right? We may not necessarily be the people who take decisions on who pays what or whether or not they receive a discount, but what we definitely can do is make sure that those who are with us stay with us for as long as they can.
Right, right. Very well said, Meenakshi. Uh, I mean, you have shared some great insights with our audience today. It was really, really great talking to you. Thank you so much for taking out some time. We have talked a lot about customer success. I want to on to the fun part. I have some rapid fire questions for you in the mood. So, are you ready for the rapid fire questions?
As ready as I would ever be.
All right, it's gonna be easy ones. Don't worry.
Okay.
All right. So my first question is, what's your favorite book?
My favorite book.
Yep.
Okay. The popular answer, would be, Stephen Hawking, and then, brief answers to big questions. But I'm going to be a little honest and say Harry Potter instead.
I'll say this to do that. What is one thing that excites you the most in these unprecedented time right now?
Actually, I've started writing again, which I think excites me a lot. So, way back before I became too busy to do it, I used to have a blog, a completely fiction based blog. So I have kind of picked that up again. And because, there's a lot of stress that happens during the day, I've completely pivoted from being very deep and all, and started writing chick flicks. I'm not particularly proud of it, but that whatever gets me excited at this point works for me. And whenever I'm done writing it, I'll share it with you guys.
Link in here. So yeah, do share it with me so that our audience can also go through. All right. My last question would be, what advice will you give to 25-year yourself?
I would actually, back when I was actually 25, I took a big decision to leave a very comfortable job that I was in, which was my first job that I got right out of college, which was with a company called MarketRx. I actually left that to take a plunge into a completely different direction. So I actually went and worked with the Commonwealth Games, which were happening in Delhi at that point in time. I was completely out of my depth. I had never ever experienced anything like that before. Just working in a government organization actually opened my eyes to so many things in life in general. And what I did was, unfortunately, I kind of quit the Delhi Commonwealth Games organizing committee a little ahead of little before the actual games happened in October 2010, which I kind of regret at this point in time. I simply could not hold out. It was just too much bureaucracy, too much red tape for me to handle, which I think now I would go back to my 25-year-old self and say, hey, you know what, stick it out till the games, because that was a once in a lifetime opportunity which I should not have missed. And just to have seen the games happen right up until October would have probably provided me with experiences which I would never have been able to get otherwise. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I think, honestly, I wouldn't ask my 25-year-old to change anything else. I've lived a pretty kick-ass life.
Thank you so much for talking to us, Meenakshi. It was really, really fun. I have never enjoyed myself more on any podcast recording session.
No,
I
thank you.
hope we talk more sometime soon.
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast, Kritika. It's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you.